Hello guys and welcome back to Substream News. Substreamers, it's good to see you again. I'm actually here at the zoo taking a break from the animals to put together this latest video. And I'm going to be starting with a story about Apple. Each year, Apple has a keynote speech at the Worldwide Developers Conference, and they use this as a platform to share kind of all of the updates of what they're working on. Some things are big revelations that's new, and some things, they've been kept in secret for a while and they're finally sharing with the public. So I'm going to give you the list of the latest updates. Okay, so this keynote speech was delivered by Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and it's a long list of updates, and I'm going to tell you, right, pay attention. We got Spotlight search improvements that will allow semantic searches rather than exact matches. Currently, for developers, when they're searching, it has to be exact. Now it will just be meaning-based, which is fine. iOS 18 will change contact book access permissions so that when an app asks for access to your contact book, you can choose to give partial access and not give access to all contacts. You can choose who. If you have an Apple Watch, you'll know about activity rings. And one UX that wasn't very popular is the inability to pause your activity rings on the Apple Watch. Okay, another new update is a new standalone password manager. Until now, it was built into Apple services, but they're creating a standalone app, which will be very good for protecting your passwords. A native call recording and transcription app. This replaces several apps which, have been doing that job. And the term for this, so when Apple creates a new update that was being basically a service provided by a third-party app, they call it Sherlocking. So they have Sherlocked native call recording and transcription, and they're also introducing some more voice transcription features to Apple devices. Another update, and I think this is a great one I'll definitely use, is the ability to mirror your iPhone on your Mac so that you can control your phone remotely. They're also introducing window tiling on Mac. Windows and Linux users will know you can organize your windows however you like, have multiple windows open and visual. You couldn't do that on a Mac, at least not easily. So now they're introducing that feature. Custom emojis with AI prompts. Custom maps in the US for offline use. Improved writing tools. More use of generative AI, more AI partnerships in general to improve Apple Intelligence, which is Apple's AI platform. They're also going to integrate ChatGPT into Siri, and that news peed off Elon Musk. If you want to know more about that, go have a look on Twitter or Google. Musk basically said there would be serious consequences, let's say, if Apple were to put ChatGPT into Siri. Insight for Apple TV, this is really cool. It will basically prompt pop-ups with more information about actors and information inside Apple TV shows. So imagine you're watching a show, you say, who's that actor? Where have I seen him? Now, you'll be able to find out in real time. iPad Notes will have some new improvements for handwriting. So if you're using an iPad and you write handwriting, it will clean up and organize your handwriting to make it cleaner to read, which is very smart. They're also introducing Math Notes for the iPad and a native calculator app, which, wow, if you have an iPad, it's always been a bit of a running joke that it doesn't have a calculator. Now, it not only will have a calculator, you can write the equations in handwriting and it will be able to read them and solve long-form equations too. Very smart. A very cool new thing. I mean, most of us have global coverage, right, for our signal, our data. But if you don't, and you need to send a message, you're in the wilderness, you will be able to send text messages via satellite. And I think that's a really interesting update. The Photos app is getting a redesign, and another tool, Tap to Cache, is being introduced. So you will tap the top of your phone to the top of your friend's phone and be able to send them money. I mean, that could even be used with cashiers in shops or, independent boutique stores. They could just hold their phones together and send money. Very good. Have you ever wanted to show somebody something on your phone, but you can't trust them to not go into certain apps and look for stuff, right? I mean, it's not common, but it's invasive. And Apple listened to the feedback and has made it possible in the next update to lock individual apps to protect you when you hand your phone over to someone else. Very smart. And finally, I really like this. You will have more flexibility over organizing your app tiles on your iPhone. Right now, everything organizes upwards. You can't drag and move around your tiles. You will be able to. So if you have a picture of your dog as your background and you can't see him because the apps are in the way, soon you'll be able to organize your apps so that you can see what's going on in the background. Okay, one final Apple update before I move on to the next story. Do you remember, not that long ago, a couple of months, I did a video about the Apple Vision Pro headset, how it's overpriced and a bit ridiculous. Some of you agreed with me. Well, it turns out Apple realized that too. They were like $3,500 new, and it was just too much. It was a high price point. I mean, you can get a second-hand car for that. There's a lot of things you can get for $3,500, and an AR, VR headset is not really a priority. And it was also too heavy. A lot of people complained of neck ache. It was also a bit too powerful. A lot of people had eye strain. There were health complaints, a lot of issues. Well, Apple is trying to resolve them. For the next update, they're trying to get the price down to around $1,500. They think it's more likely to be around $2,000, which, around half the price is a great discount, but it will be lighter and they will strip back the features. There is, of course, a trade-off when you make it lighter and reduce some of the components. Substreamers, I hope you're watching this video on your own time and not on the company clock. That's the issue in the next story. Well, Wells Fargo, a massive company, recently reported that they fired 12 employees for fake working. Now, I love this story. Remote work, it's huge. I've been doing it for a long time and I love it. I love this lifestyle. But some people just took it a bit too far, a bit to the extreme, and they bought something called a mouse jiggler. A mouse jiggler. Have you heard of that? Some of you might have. If you haven't, it's either a little dock. I'm going to put a picture in here. It's a little dock that you put your mouse on and it keeps your mouse moving like this. And so with your mouse remaining active at all times, it looks like you're working to productivity tracking software, right? So you work for a big multinational corporation. They want to know that you're working and earning your salary. So they have tools that can show your mouse is moving, your keyboard's active, and your screen's not just going onto the screensaver. So a mouse jiggler keeps it moving. There's also a version that's like a USB stick. You plug it in and it makes sure that your mouse is always moving. But they found 12 employees using this and have fired them and made it public, and that's great. So they didn't reveal how they actually caught the staff. Unfortunately, they're not allowed to, and that's a real shame because I would like to know the full stories from HR's secret filing cabinet. But what I can tell you is that a mouse jiggler is only about $25. So if you want to do some fake working, that's how to do it. I'm not encouraging that, actually. Hard work is good for the soul, but if you want to, go ahead. Okay, Substreamers, the next story is a bit more scandalous or contentious, so pay attention. Now, this comes from the EU, where AI facial tracking software is coming into effect, and it's a big issue, ethically, socially. A lot of people will be up in arms about this. The latest news is that travellers to the EU, so that could mean UK citizens, when they're going into the EU, they may have to face a AI lie detector, which is bizarre, but this is part of the European Union's controversial artificial lie detector system, Border Control. The software analyzes facial movements and body gestures in order to flag suspicious behavior to immigration officers, and then that could lead to a lie detector test. And the system could be incorporated at border checkpoints, airports, ferry terminals, all sorts of things, as early as October. I'm not a fan of this. I'm really not a fan of this. This is scary. This is the bad side of futurism and dystopia stuff. This is not the future we want. If you want to keep your freedoms, especially when moving around, freedom of travel, you cannot support this. You have to voice your displeasure and rise against it. Well, there's a part two to this story. It's similar, I suppose, that Amazon have created AI cameras that are being used to monitor and analyze passengers' emotions by employing a combination of smart CCTV cameras. So similarly, they're looking at you, they're seeing what you're doing, behavior, gestures, expressions, emotion, and using that to extrapolate information that they can use against you. They can also detect objects and how you're using them, and basically make quick fire judgments connected to cloud-based software. This technology is not in development. This technology is active. There are 8 train stations in the UK already using this tool, and they claim that it enhances passenger safety and improves customer service. Anybody from the UK watching this video, do you think UK trains give a good service? Do you think they're quality? They are the most overpriced and under quality trains in the world, in my opinion. So this is a joke, and spending money on AI cameras instead of subsidizing overpriced ticket fees is a joke. Let's move on. Okay, substreamers, now for some good news. Researchers at Michigan State University have discovered that honeybees can help detect lung cancer. How bizarre. How, as I was reading this, how do you even find that out? Well, they did, and it could really help a lot of people. So they basically made synthetic human breath, normal breath or non-cancerous breath, and then breath of somebody with lung cancer. And the honeybees reacted differently, which is very bizarre. But yeah, it's something to do with something in there, some compounds, right? Now, honeybees have one of the strongest senses of smell in the world, and that's why they were chosen for this experiment as opposed to any other animal. And I have an excerpt here from this story that I want to read to you now. Using a special harness to hold a live honeybee, researchers attached a tiny electrode to the bee's brain to measure changes in brain signals. And the quote is, "We passed those odors on to the antenna of the honeybees and recorded the neural signs from their brain." And that's from Debajit Sahar, who's an assistant professor at Michigan State University's Institute for Quantitative Health Science and Engineering. He said, "We saw a change in the honeybee's neural firing response." What a weird story. I love that. But, you know, if humans and nature coming closer together creates problems like, you know, disease and stuff, it can also create solutions. And I think trials like this are very interesting. What other ways can we create symbioses with nature, with animals, to help us live longer, better, healthier, and, you know, detect things like cancer and other diseases? Or who knows? The range of applications are immense and very interesting. Now, let's go to the final story. And I am dripping. It's so hot and humid here. I'm in the jungle, sweating. Okay, substreamers, as always, I try to finish on a lighter note, some happier, good news story. And this one you might have seen coming. It's about tarot cards, astrology, and soothsaying. So, bonus points if you already knew I was going to say this, because some of you might have. In Virginia City, USA, local government has unbanned tarot card or psychic readings after 45 years. The ban was in place for 45 years. Well, this news came as a huge shock to Ashley Branton, who has been earning her living as a full-time psychic for 7 years in Virginia City. She had no idea it was illegal, and she said, although her tarot cards are never wrong, they never showed her this information. I like that. Good sense of humor there. So here's what the exact ban stated. It said, "The practice of palmistry, palm reading, phrenology, or clairvoyance for monetary or other compensation." Right, that's what was banned. And this was a first-degree misdemeanor and carried up to a year in jail. So Ashley got away lucky that no one really reported her, and that probably nobody really knew that it was a crime, right? You just wouldn't think about it. Well, there's a twist in this news, because here's why I wanted to finish on this. There's a great article on fortune.com. I'm going to put the link in there. You need a subscription to read it, but it's a great article that says Gen Z are turning to astrology and tarot cards to help with stock trading, because they believe that the key to good trading decisions are there in the stars. And apparently it's actually working. They're getting good, positive results from that. What do you think? Do you think there's anything behind that? Do you think it's a good idea? I'm not sure. I'm going to leave it to you. And I've run out of words. That's it. Substreamers, it was an absolute pleasure. As always, I'm Joseph, your presenter. sweating, melting here in the jungle. Thank you for watching. See you next time from an air-conditioned room, I hope, because it's too hot here to record. See you next time. Goodbye. I'm going to go look at a Malaysian sun bear.